Yo, mic check, 1, 2. Yo, 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 mic check. Can you guys hear me okay? Mic check, 1, 2. I think probably you can. Yeah, quarantine haircut, you know. Might as well just shave my head. How you guys doing? Can you guys, I assume you can hear me okay. I kind of tested this earlier, but watch me spill this all over. Completely ruined the live stream. Cool, cool, cool. How are the levels in between my voice and the audio here? Hold on. Cool, cool, cool. I was just tweeting out and posting on Facebook that I'm actually doing this, or not Facebook, Instagram. Quarantine mullet, I love it. Here, I'm just totally gonna just post this on Instagram real quick. 1 second. Actually, I'll do this in a little bit. Voice is a little loud. Okay. Actually, that might be all right because this might get kind of loud. Let me know in like, I don't know, like 20 minutes. Cool. Yeah, okay, so the circuit. This is actually, is that text too big? I think it's a little big on the screen. Let me fix that. Let me see if that's any better. Okay, so I've only used this maybe 3 or 4 times. They sent it to me a couple years ago, and I've sort of just been, I guess, sitting on it for a while. I played around with it when I got it, but it's been a couple years, and I finally just, like, you know, with this whole live stream thing, like, I kind of just want to, like, maybe sit down with a new piece of equipment, kind of figure it out on the fly, and yo, what's up? And just like, yeah, just see what happens, you know. This is like pure improvisation. I'm not really playing any kind of like my own tracks or whatever. You know, so yeah, so this is, I'm actually not very well versed in the circuit at all, but, you know, I played around with it a little bit last night, and yeah. So yeah, I'm like pretty into this. It's like, it's simple, you know, there's like two synth voices and then like some drums, and obviously you can change those patches on the fly, and like these knobs at the top, I'm not really sure what most of them do half the time, but you know, the more you kind of play with it, the more you kind of learn the different patches, and obviously you can create your own, you know. Some effects and stuff. It's funny because like that message got flagged for, I don't know, being maybe inappropriate. It's like, how is that even remotely inappropriate? So it's, yeah, this thing is kind of cool. Like you get the, you know, here, let me just kind of like different drum patterns going. You can create these like different sequences and different orders and things like that. So I could do that, or I could just do actually all 4 of them. So it kind of cycles in between like a half time hi-hat pattern and then, you know, doubles up. Yeah, U-Haul is a turntable. Just maybe a little low end there. Actually, I'm like so new to this that I don't even know how to save patches yet, like, or save sessions or whatever. So every time I turn this off, I just lose everything. But it's fun. I'm just messing around, you know. just explore something. It's honestly been sitting in my studio for years, and I never really messed around with it because I don't know. But I kind of like this idea of having something like all in one box where you can make kind of a basic track. I totally agree. It's sometimes that limitation is really fun, I often think about that, like, when you have like so many different plugins and so many options for, a million different, you can basically have whatever you want, right? And I don't know, it's just fun to kind of like sit with, this is all I have. There's no laptop. I mean, I have a laptop here just to look at the comments, but all the sound is coming from this one thing. We tried different drums. I don't think I've even tried that. 360p. Oh yeah, the Electribe. Yeah, no, that's another example of like just like a really fun kind of simple instrument, I mean, this one's actually quite complex. There's a lot to this. I've only begun to like start exploring this. I don't really know. Like I haven't even done like proper arrangements or anything like that. like the OP1. I really like it, actually. I think it's great. Maybe I'll bust it out here at some point, but I really like that one. It's also another great sort of self-contained unit. I don't love the sequencer and like the way that you record with it. It's kind of I'm not super crazy about it, but like there's a lot, like I'll use it a lot to like play stuff and just record it, you know. Also as a MIDI controller. I got some flack for that from people saying it's like a terrible MIDI controller, but it's like, to me, it's just so small and useful. It's right there by my keyboard. So Calvin, what is your process to take a loop like this and turn it into a song? Usually I don't even go this far. Like I'll do like sort of a basic, just like a basic melody, and then I'll record that, and then maybe it's rare that I'll start like with a full loop like this, like I'll record those parts individually maybe, and then turn it into something. It's just really kind of annoying to get it synced up and stuff like that. So, and that's what's kept me away from a lot of these types of boxes before. I like having sort of units that are very specific in what they do. So this like sort of does everything in a box, isn't maybe ideal, you know. As like knocking that method, because a lot of people do it that way. They'll like come up with like a full demo on like a unit like this, and then bring it into like Ableton and start to mess around with it there. What's up, Stuka? guys doing? And also, like, where's everybody coming from? I feel like I'm kind of streaming at a weird time. Typically where I hear. That's cool though. I always want to play Tree Fort there, but we'll see. We'll see when all this Corona stuff lets up, you know. Oh, Rochester, do you know a Joywave? I'm sure. I feel like they're one of the bigger artists out of there. Played there once. Indianapolis, you know, we're playing there. Well, yeah, as of right now, we're playing there in June. Or no, is that one in July? No, I think that one's in June. You know, obviously we're sort of like waiting, you know, to basically see if it's still safe to do the shows and whatever. So we haven't like formally like pushed anything back or anything like that, but we have we sort of have backup dates just in case, you know, something happens. But so it'll happen one way or the other. But you know, it's kind of like we're on the same boat as everybody else. Like we're just kind of waiting to see what, I don't know, what happens with all this. Oh, Austin, nice. I love Austin, Texas. Kind of bummed about South by as well. It would have been right about now, or it would have been over by now. But Myerstown, PA. Right. Yeah, that's cool, man. I used to live in when I was a kid. I lived in what was it called? Lebanon, Pennsylvania, or Lancaster, Pennsylvania. That whole area. Annville. I lived there as a kid. I don't know if that's anywhere close to you. Probably not. Tom, yeah, well, like once the plague is over. Yeah, I would love to see them. I would actually love to see like a Joywave hometown show. I bet it's pretty sick. Those guys are so funny. Like Dan is like one of the funniest people I know. Yeah, most festivals are getting delayed. You know, we'll see even Coachella, like, honestly, I don't even know. Because if you think about it, like, you know, one thing is like the worst of the virus getting, passing, but then we're going to be stuck in a situation where people probably aren't really dying to go into like confined spaces with lots of other people, also to do something that is technically not essential. So yeah, I think it might be a little bit longer before people really feel comfortable to go to shows and stuff like that, which, you know, I understand, obviously. So yeah, the music industry's like kind of like freaking out right now. Okay, so Lancaster's like kind of in that area. That's cool. I was there for like 3rd and 4th grade, so it doesn't really count, you know. Tokyo. Love that. Tokyo. I go there as often as I can. I love that country, that city. It's amazing. Also, a bummer about the Olympics. Yeah, Tom. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised by that either. By people like just like from being confined for so long that they're just like, get me out of here. But then again, I say that more in terms of like government restrictions. You know, kind of limiting the scope of like public, you know, stuff. I don't know. We're dropping references to the record already. Alex, thanks, man. I'm stoked for it to come out too. Oh, what's up, Stuka? Lisboa. I grew up in Porto, but like, ish. Really Santa Maria da Feira, but I was born in like Coimbra and like stuff like that. So, yeah. But I'd go to Lisbon pretty often. You just take the, what's it called? I forget. What's the train called? Anyway, it'll come back to me. But I used to take the train down and just like hang out in Lisbon a lot. Yeah, the alpha. That's what it's called. Yeah, I would take the alpha down for sure. I forgot about that. It's been a long time. But I would take the not the Intercidades, but I would take like the local train in between like Santa Maria da Feira and São João da Madeira, and like go hang out with my friends there. But those are like nothing like the alpha. Casey, so are samples from your live stream using Carefree? Trying to think. No, I don't think I used any of those samples in there because I wrote Carefree after that. Yeah, that song was actually kind of interesting because so the way that this works is like I'll write like a whole bunch of demos and then send them off to like different vocalists and whatnot, and so, you know, I'd been trying to get this demo placed with a bunch of different people. The demo that eventually became Carefree was like that piano line. Like I had that kind of done, and I was just like waiting to hear back if anybody was into it. Like nobody really got, you know, was really drawn to it. So like it kind of sat there for a while, and then you know, I brought it. I basically gave it to Light, which is how you pronounce her artist name. It's kind of, a lot of people get kind of confusing. Yeah, I mean, she kind of like just nailed it, and she wrote this like amazing vocal over it, and then, you know, kind of developed it into like what it is. But yeah, I was like actually ready to scrap that original demo and like just throw it away, but like she came back with such like a cool vocal on it, so I just had to, you know, it ended up becoming one of my favorite songs on the record. Okay, so do you write the lyrics and the vocal melody, or does that come from the vocalist? Usually from the vocalist, actually. Yeah, so I feel like I'm doing so much on the instrumental side that like I kind of want to give them some space so they can kind of do their thing, you know. Yeah, it's like if I have like a specific idea or if I don't like something, I'll mention it, you know. But it's not like yeah, it's not like I don't try to like handhold them, you know, through the process. Like I just kind of let them do their thing. Also, you know, like when I'm working on, I would like for them to sort of be inspired by like what I'm doing basically. So like if they take it and then they, you know, sort of develop it into their own thing, like I think that's, and they have some ownership over it, I think that will in the end is better, you know, than me like trying to like, I need this line or whatever. So I'm kind of hands off with that. Sometimes people will, you know, play an instrument as well, so that can happen too. What's up? Actually, how do you spell your Felter? No, Flector. Is that right? Is it Flector? That sounds right. Yeah, we're in Texas. Yeah. And also shout out to the Discord peeps that are that are here. Okay, so do you think you'll ever do a song with Kelly from Block Party again? I love his vocal and style music. No, I mean maybe it's one of those things like I definitely like working with people again. I mean, there's some people that I've worked with on every record, like St. Lucia, for example. But yeah, I mean it's one of those like people are busy, and it's like I kind of like being able to work with new people every time. So I'm not saying like never. It's more just like I feel like we kind of got like we did our song, and then now I'm like working with other people. So it's but I'm definitely not opposed to it. I mean, I think he's amazing. He's like one of my favorite artists, and I feel so fortunate that I got to work with him. Actually, a lot of people don't know this, but I produced one of the tracks on his solo EP. What is that called? I forget. This was like so long ago, like 2009. Would you consider like a Skype song collaboration with an artist remotely? So the tricky part about collaboration, like through the internet or whatever, is that there's not really so audio is really like latency sensitive. So like live streaming may work for me to sit here and like perform I mean, I say that pretty loosely, but it's pretty tricky to like have it synced with somebody else and like have it like perform in real time. That part's pretty tricky, and we just don't really have software that can do that yet. I mean, I've seen some people like claim that they can do that, and I'm more than willing to check out any product that can do that, but as of right now I'm not aware of any. What's up George from what's up Robin from Mexico? Nice. This reminds me a bit of If You Forget Me. Yeah. Definitely those kind of vibes. I mean, it's like with that soundtrack, I was definitely going for like a late 90s, like, because that was the time period of the movie, I've been among many other people. I've been posting photos of our cats in the Discord. It's kind of a long thread at this point, but a lot of people share my enthusiasm for studio cats. I think they're pretty cool. Steven, so fun fact, I actually already did that. It's not very noticeable, but I on the song Unusual, which is a single off the last album, on every snare hit there is like a little meow from my cat Bo. So I did another song with St. Lucia on this new album. It's pretty different than some of the other stuff I did with them, but I'm like really stoked about it actually. But I think it might catch people off guard because it's unlike anything else. But I think that's fun too. So it's not like a single. It's not even very poppy at all. But it's sort of like a ballad in a way. Casey, so working with Rostam was interesting for sure. I did like 2 days, like a 2-day session at his studio in LA, which is also, I think where Haim recorded or something like that. I'm not really sure. I know a lot of stuff has happened in that studio space, if I'm not mistaken. But it was really interesting, like working with another producer, because I'm so used to kind of taking care of that side of things that I don't really need anybody else in the room basically, but like it was nice to have somebody that is very good at what they do, also kind of chime in and have different ideas. And he has like a very interesting timing on that song in particular, but no, he's has a really interesting voice, and like I've been a fan of Vampire Weekend forever, and like his solo stuff and Discovery, the project he has with Wes from Rara Riot. So it's like it's all pretty cool. Tom, like I said, latency. It's really frustrating. yeah, it's like nobody's really solved that yet, you know. So I don't know. We gotta figure that out. So it's really kind of difficult to collaborate in real time, you know. I don't find this to be that useful anyway, so it's fine. I'd rather like work with somebody, you know, take my time with it, basically. It's interesting. So the story behind that is that I had the title for the album. I knew that I wanted to call it Boy. Like I had a theme for a long time, and I hadn't really found like a good visual representation of that. And I just hit up. Well, I didn't hit up anybody. Like I was actually just like scrolling through Instagram, and I follow a bunch of different artists, like people that I like things like that. And I saw this one piece by this guy Andres Reisinger. And I was sort of just like blown away. Like it was very simple. It ended up being the actual cover image that I picked, but something really drew me to the image. Like it was sort of surrealist, but also like it's, you know, it's 3D art, but it's also like kind of looks real and you can't really tell, and it's sort of this uncanny valley thing. And I just really liked that, and I thought it was like a good representation of the album. There's sort of like a lot of meaning that you could extrapolate from that. So I just emailed him. I was like, hey, can I license this photo? And it turns out that he was like a fan. He like knew my music and like had been, you know, following me for a while or whatever. And I was like, oh, okay, awesome, amazing. I was really flattered, and like he offered to do like the whole campaign, the whole album, and then that's when we really started to kind of dial it in. And like, I mean, it's all definitely his stuff, but you know, he kind of like, you know, I gave him the album and he sort of found like themes in there, and you know, created this whole thing around it, which I thought was really cool. I really appreciate like working with different artists where, you know, I just essentially like, it's just like, you know, give them sort of something to be inspired by, and then they do their thing, and it comes out great. Like, so I really liked working with him, and I mean, everything he does is just so interesting. It's just, he doesn't typically do like album art too, which I really liked, and it's sort of been a theme with this whole album, is like working with people that don't typically do music stuff. So for the photography that we did for the promo pics, it's my friend Jules, which she normally does more lifestyle, sports, maybe product type of like may travel as well. So like type of photography, like I mean maybe she's done a little bit of portraiture, but the whole idea was just to bring in like people that don't usually do this thing and like kind of like an outside perspective and just do something new and fresh, you know. So because if you hire the same music people, they're just gonna get the same black and white shot, you know. And like that's fine, but it's not my thing. Thanks, Casey. I'm glad you like that song. You know what? I should have done that. I should have totally trolled people on April Fools. But I get those like on a daily basis. It doesn't matter. Like it's like my face is on there and they still tweet at me, you know. So I can't do much about that. Ralph, have you ever sang in one of your own tracks? Not as the main vocal, but I've definitely done I've definitely done more like background stuff. Like I sampled my own voice, like oohs and ahs and like things like that, and then I'll just like put it in the background. But I've been doing that since 2007. Like I think my Block Party remix has that and like a whole bunch of stuff. So yeah, I definitely do that a lot, but not as like the main singer. I don't know, it's not my thing. So I actually have singers that tour with me. So in that case, I have like 3 different singers. So I actually didn't do any singing live, but I had my friend Troop, Carl, and Liz sing. So that's probably what you heard. So, oh yeah, no, my wife, fantastic voice. Yeah, no, I love working with her. So it's kind of funny because I actually, I guess my approach to like live music in general is sort of just to constantly change things up. So, I've actually, I kind of basically like retired the band in 2017, so I haven't done any shows like that for a while. The point being that I just want to change it up and do something different and a little more electronic leaning. Also, it's just more scalable and more practical in many ways, because everybody, you know, like you have to get 12 people to line up perfectly, and that can be kind of tricky when everybody else has other jobs and other projects and stuff like that. So yeah, no, for the most part, I'm kind of, I mean, I may have some kind of live vocals in my show, but it's much more of an electronic kind of visual type of show. I'm changing it considerably, which I'm having like a lot of fun with because it's sort of new territory. It's sort of like I'm basically kind of redoing all the songs in like a new way. So, you know, the whole idea is like if you're coming to a show, like I don't want you to hear the recorded version, you know, like I want you to hear sort of a new take on it. It's not like drastically different, but it's, you know, I think it's important to kind of do something new every time. Otherwise, why would people come see you, you know? Oh, Shelly, thank you. Appreciate that. That's really great to hear. You know, I always appreciate that kind of stuff. Like, it's, you know, so much of this, I do it like kind of in a vacuum, not really knowing how it affects people or whatever, and I'm a little bit oblivious to that. So, you know, hearing that makes me happy because, you know, it's sort of something that I do on my own and then goes out in the world and, you know, affects people in different ways. So, thank you. That's cool. I think I'm going to start like, I'm actually going to turn this off and on again, completely wipe the memory and start again with something different, maybe a little bit slower. Yeah, let's go 98. Some swing. Yeah, the camera, it's like, I've had this on for like multiple hours before. It does fine. It's like plugged in direct with this like battery pack, and never had an issue with it. I'll come back to some of the other questions in a second. Just like getting something going here. But yeah, if you want to leave some more questions, I'll get to them in a second. Let me change the scale a little bit. I have no idea what this is, but sure. sound. Question from Bob. What's your hardware software setup for live shows going to be like? Driving everything through Ableton, hauling a bunch of vintage synths around. Probably not a whole lot of vintage stuff because I've done that before and it's never worth it. I feel like, vintage stuff is just not really meant to tour, basically. There's a lot of really amazing equipment that's modern that will get something like pretty close to it, and that's enough of a compromise for me. Because then I get stability and it works and I don't have to worry about it. Because if you think about it, especially if you're selling tickets, if you get 1,000 people to pay tickets and you show up and your gear doesn't work, that's not a position I want to be in. So I always have kind of redundancy, and I always for example, I've had situations where a piece of equipment went down and I have a backup track on my computer that I can just turn on that'll just like sort of, you know, replace it basically. And obviously the intent is to play it live, but like, you know, in that kind of situation when, you know, when it doesn't, when the equipment just isn't working, you don't have enough time, you're sort of in a pinch, you have to figure it out. But okay, so I'm still kind of figuring out the live thing. I think it's going to be definitely have like a guitar and like a whole bunch of pedals, like things like that. It'll have a bunch of different synths. I think a modular for sure for effects, things like that. The Ableton set will be running more. It's going to be more of a linear show because of the visuals and all that stuff. But there's sort of these moments that I'm building in where it's more like improvisational. So it's more, you know, it's kind of a mix of all those things. Yeah, I'm trying to think of like what else I'm doing. I mean, it's heavily focused on visuals. So like that's something I've been working on quite a bit, Cinema 4D, and also hiring other artists to work on stuff, and you know, just kind of editing together like it's basically like creating a film in a way. So it's sort of like a visual counterpart to the set. So that's kind of what I've been up to lately. Okay, so Alex, do you think you'll ever do a live session of just EQing? Because I can't find any good videos. I mean, EQing is like kind of just like something you need to spend a lot of time on your own and like develop an ear for it. I feel like you need to spend a lot of time just like hearing stuff and like developing a sense of like what frequency is where. Because I think that's mostly what EQing is. Like I think sometimes a lot of people put extreme importance on EQing. I feel like EQing is a little bit more of like something to fix something that isn't right to begin with. So I actually don't do a whole lot of EQing. I just basically make sure that it sounds as good as it possibly can on the way in. I mean, you could definitely like, I'll use EQs to like filter stuff out. So like I'll filter at the top, filter at the bottom. That usually is what I do. Like it's rare that I need to like boost something, because I'll usually get it right on the way in, if that makes sense. But like I'm trying to think of like anything else about EQing. I mean, it's really just like spending a lot of time learning what frequencies are where and like what you actually want and what you're trying to achieve. My approach is like just general EQ is to filter everything down to its essential. So like guitars, I usually have it filtered like basically anything above, I think like 6K is cut off basically. I don't leave any of the high ends, like I don't need any of that. Which creates this kind of really warm, nice tone, and also on the low end, I'll cut a lot of the low end stuff out. The idea is that you're carving out all these different instruments, and that it's only the essential elements that are there, and they're not like fighting for attention, basically. So like the bass is sitting nicely in the low mids, you know, and the low end, obviously. The kick is definitely like all in the, you know, sub 50 hertz. Trying to think of like what else. I mean, for example, like I usually don't have anything above 12K that isn't vocals. You know, vocals are always like up in the top range, so that's really where they have their own space, and that's where vocals live. You know, it gets tricky like with synths and guitars. Like, how do you mix those? So that's more of an acquired thing. But yeah. But I'd say like just in general with EQing, like I think you just gotta do it and like kind of learn. It's not like, I don't think it's something you can learn through videos. I think you just have to like take let's say a guitar sound that you don't like and try to shape it back into what you want. Thank you. Is it Abdasaji? Is that how you say it? I don't know. I'm gonna butcher it. Timothy. Yeah. The circuit's cool. I mean, I bet there's people that could do like full songs in this. I don't think that's my style. I'm just like messing around right now, but like. So I'm probably not going to be playing like any of my own music. I'm just like really just messing around with this synth. That's kind of what's the point of this live stream. But oh, so yeah. So towards like multiple Junos. That's like that's crazy. Actually, I would never do that. Like I don't know. I mean, to each their own, whatever. But like, that seems ridiculous to me. Like, especially when you have the JU06 or whatever, like the digital versions that are like super stable and they sound like about as close as you're gonna get, and you don't have to deal with like any of the batteries and like this thing just like yeah. It's very finicky. Anything, I mean, it came out like 82, you know. Of course it's gonna be finicky. It wasn't really, I don't think they really intended it for it to be around this long. Do I like Arabic music? Yes, for sure. Of course, yeah. I'd say that like some of the time signature stuff is a little bit hard for me to like wrap my head around. Like I find it to be distracting because I'm like trying to like listen to it analytically, but you know, I do enjoy it. All right, so right, so the Hang Up Festival, yeah, in Gulf Shores, Alabama. That was fun. That was a really good time. I think I just remember it being like a crazy trip to get there because it's like kind of remote-ish. It was just tricky to get there with all of our gear, but we did. And I remember that they had like a whole area, the airport dedicated to like the artists coming in. So like it was kind of a funny moment because that doesn't typically happen, you know. Most people just travel commercially, whatever. And yeah, I just remember them having like a whole like green room area at the airport, like with snacks and stuff. But the show itself was great. I don't think we were doing live vocals then, maybe on one or two songs, but I remember enjoying it quite a bit. I would love to play again. You all have ever performed at Paradiso? I don't believe so. Timothy, yeah, the themes of the streams. Yeah, so this is, yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of fun to like change it up and do something a little bit different. Like, I think there's so many people, so many artists that are just like, they're like sitting at home bored and they don't know what to do themselves, so they're just like live streaming DJ sets and whatever, and I think that's fine, but like I kind of wanted to do something different, and I think part of the fun of like live streaming is like interacting, and you know, if you want to come see me play, and I'll do it properly, you know, play a proper show, whatever. But like for this kind of stuff, yeah, sure, I could do that, but then it's just one stream. This is more fun. It's like I'm just like messing around with the synth, you know, and chatting with you guys. So that to me seems more interesting, I guess. it was a great festival. Like, you know, it's like on the beach and stuff, so it's like hard to complain about that, you know. Yeah, they treated us really well, you know. It was kind of nice. Yeah, my Instagram stories. Yeah, I'm kind of obsessed with that song "Juicy" by Doja Cat. It's pretty fun. It's a ridiculous song, but I don't know. I think it's super catchy. Okay, how do you plan on syncing Ableton to your video for live sets? So the way that I think this is going to work, we're still ironing out some of the details, but basically it would be done on a different computer. So I would actually send timecode through an audio cable to a different computer that's running a software called Resolume, and then you can sync the timecode to the video. So I could even jump around within the set and the video is still locked in. Timecode is just like way better than MIDI. I mean, MIDI is awful for this kind of stuff. So MIDI is amazing, but it was invented in the 70s. It's very dated, you know. Like we have something better like OSC and timecode, but yeah, it's kind of tricky. So we're still kind of like figuring that out. Abdul, yeah. What country is that? Where are you from? I mean, you're asking about Arabic music, so I'm assuming somewhere around there. I don't know. Kraftwerk and early Depeche Mode vibes. I don't know if I can do that with this thing, but let me try. It's like more dance music or something. Oh, nice. Morocco. Yeah. Yeah. Technically close to, well, you know, I grew up in Portugal, so it was like right across. I'd never been though. and say there was a monumental break towards sex, what would that be? Everybody had that one where they got a break. I think the question is like kind of like, yeah, if there's like kind of one thing. I mean, there was a couple kind of along the way. I feel like I had, well, I mean, maybe like kind of one, I mean, how should I put it? Like, when I first started, like the first remix I did was for the Shins. So that was a huge deal for me at the time, because I was literally just starting out, you know, and it got picked up by Pitchfork and like all this stuff. So like I was just like off to the races right from the beginning. Whereas I had been in like multiple projects that were just unsuccessful for a very long time. And it's just like almost this thing that I did offhand suddenly is successful. So I feel like I touched a nerve basically. And it kind of made me double down on what I was doing. Like I was on the right track basically. So that was a big one. And you know, then I just kept doing more and more remixes, and like it just kind of connected and you know, putting out the first album, signing to Interscope and like doing all that stuff, that was definitely like a big deal. That actually, it's funny because like when I started doing original work, I was actually thinking it'd be more like dance music, just like supplemental stuff for like my DJ career. And it's funny how it like kind of took over my life, and it became like the focus of the project, far surpassing any remix work I'd ever done. So it was kind of cool. And I appreciate that. It's nice to have like your original work be appreciated, because usually it's the other way around. Then maybe, I mean, I think it was like 2015 or 2016. In the same year, I played both Ultra and Coachella, and to me that was sort of like a moment in time where it's like I was exactly where I wanted to be, because playing, you know, one of the biggest festivals in the world, and then playing also one of the biggest electronic festivals in the world. So being in, usually you're in one of those camps, you know, it's not both. So it was kind of a cool moment for me. But yeah, and then, you know, obviously the Grammy and whatever, that was like, but that was sort of like after 10 years of doing it, it was like, okay, got that. It wasn't like something I was like going for, but you know, once you get nominated, you definitely want it. You know, like it's not like people are like, oh, I'm happy with the nomination. It's like, no, you're not. You want it. Like if I never won, I'd be perfectly, like I would be happy with the nomination, but like deep down, you do really want it. Of course, I think it's natural. Yeah, Portugal in the house. I mean, I'm not in Portugal, but yeah. How is Portugal handling Corona? Actually, I found out that it was Alvad and like a whole bunch of cities are on lockdown because of the school that I went to. Like they took a field trip to Italy like at the wrong time and got a bunch of people sick. So yeah, way to go. Way to go, Santa Maria da Feira. Killing it. U-Haul, yeah, no, I'd love to play Mix Mag. I mean, we'll see if anybody's leaving their house anytime soon. No, I love Toronto as well. Toronto's great, man. Like I've had a great time playing shows there. Thank you, Abdul. I appreciate that, man. Timothy, yeah. It's funny. This is kind of like a little bit more Master Spy, although I didn't do anything on Master Spy on this thing. This is, by the way, for those of you that may be new, I don't know. This is, I don't really know this instrument very well. I'm just kind of messing around. Thank you, Amanda. Glad you like listening to it when you're home. Yeah, Kenzo. Yeah, no, I would obviously love to play Portugal. It's funny how like there's like a couple things like so I didn't realize this at the time, but when I won the Grammy, I became the first Portuguese person to ever win, and I think still to this day I'm the only one. So it's like, again, like I was not expecting that or anything like that. I just have this sort of funny connection. Obviously I grew up there, but I feel like a lot of people there have no clue who I am or anything like that. So that's usually been the issue why I've barely played there at all. I don't know. It's just like, I've tried. I mean, I've done a couple shows there, but nothing too crazy. So, no, I'd love to. Obviously, when the situation sort of normalizes, but Abdo, I mean, if you want to become a music producer, like, what are you doing about it? Do you know music? Do you have software? What are you doing? Divinity. Yeah, it's interesting. The Porter Robinson remix is like kind of a big deal for like a certain pocket, but like it sort of made a certain pocket of people aware of me where they weren't before. But I don't know if I'd maybe throw it in as like this like pivotal moment or anything like that. But it was cool to work on his stuff. He's super talented. Callum, yeah, the Grammy or whatever that thing is. Abda, so can you give me some details about your collaboration with Lou as a Child? Yeah, so I wrote this demo, and we were working in the studio, I think in April, actually about a year ago, crazy. And it was kind of like we're working on just random stuff, maybe something for their album, maybe something for mine. And I had this track that I wrote, so and then they sang on it, and we kind of went back and forth a little bit. But yeah, and they're singing on it, which is like somewhat maybe not unusual, but not what people expect. So I'm really stoked about it. Oh yeah. So Starved Artist, like, yeah, Lisbon sounds like it's mostly where, you know, I live in Portland, Oregon. It's kind of like the same. People aren't really going out unless, you know, it's like actually really necessary, you know. And yeah, a lot of people have no idea that I'm Portuguese. I mean, it's not some big secret, but I also don't like, I don't know if I like advertise it constantly or anything like that. But yeah, I was mentioning earlier, I was born in Coimbra and lived in Lake Figueira da Foz, lived in Mafra, lived in Ericeira, lived in where else? We go to Cascais a lot, like and then like later in life I lived in Santa Maria da Feira quite a bit. And, you know, I'd go to Porto a lot, and yeah, I mean, that's kind of it. You know, I left when I was 20, so it's like I kind of grew up there, but my adult life wasn't really spent there. you to Portland? I think at the time it was like I just graduated and I was kind of like I could have lived anywhere basically. I was a little spoiled in where I went to school because like rent was like $300. So it actually was really helpful early on in my career because I was still there in Greenville, Illinois, like when I was still working on some RAC stuff. So like it was really helpful to have such a cheap rent so I could really build my like early career stuff. But then like moving to Portland was like, I wanted to live in a bigger city, wanted to live on the West Coast, and it was either LA, Seattle or Portland, and Portland seemed like a cooler vibe. So Portland at the time wasn't even like Portland, it was sort of just like a small time thing. And I've been here for about over 10 years now, so I really clearly like it. And I think it's a wonderful city. And it's one of the few places that, when I'm flying home or whatever, it feels like home, So I've definitely made my life here. Just close to nature and stuff like that. Also the kind of the quality of life you can have here versus some of the other cities, like pretty substantial. And, everybody on my team, like on the business side of it, is all in LA. So they're there where they need to be, which is the music industry. And then I get to live a quieter life up here in Portland and not be bothered by anybody. So that's my vibe. Divinity. So thank you. Glad you like the Diplo and Friends mix. When will I drop all that stuff? Actually, I think the whole point of a lot of that was that it's just all unreleased stuff and may stay that way. I don't know. Some of it was material that I wrote for the new album. So there actually is a couple tracks in there that are off the new album, mostly the instrumental stuff. And a lot of those demos I wrote like for this new album, but there's a lot of stuff in there that's like stuff that I wrote in 2010. It's kind of all over the place. It's sort of like a collection of a lot of work that just didn't come out for some reason. It wasn't that I didn't like it. It was just like it didn't fit or like something like that. So that was more what I was thinking there. I mean, I think some of that might come out at some point. And it is. I gotta shout out the Patreon, of course, because you can get some of that stuff in there. But yeah, it's. I don't know about a commercial release, but I'm still kind of figuring it out. I think I wanted that to be sort of like a companion piece to the album, sort of a teaser of what it could be. It's not the album, obviously, but it's sort of maybe an introduction or like a segue, so people can maybe get an idea of what I'm going for. Because the new album's a little bit different. I don't think it's that different, but it's a little bit. Like, to me, it never feels different because there's like a linear progression, but when you take three years to put out an album, your life changes in that time and your interests change. So Timothy, yeah, that song's called Boomerang. It's with Luna Shadows. No, I really like the lyrics to that song. I think they're pretty fun. It's literally named after an Instagram function. I mean, it's deeper than that, but you know what I mean. Thank you, Kenzo. Appreciate that. What about us? Abdo, yeah. I mean, of course, I'd want to work with Chris Martin. Yeah, Pacific Northwest is great, and it is true about the gas thing. It's only like I think Oregon and Oregon and New Jersey, I think, are the only states where you can't pump your own gas. It's actually pretty weird. Like I really rather do it myself most of the time, except when it's raining, which happens a lot, and I don't have to be somewhere. It's really nice to just have somebody do it. You don't even have to get out of your car. Yeah, Greenville with a big shout out. Haven't been back since I left. Oh, my cats are nowhere to be found. Yeah, they were fed earlier, so they do not Timothy. So that song's on the album. It's actually the second song on the album. So it'll be out soon enough, May 8th. So how did the Porter Robinson Sea of Voices remix come about? He asked, yeah. So we had the same manager, I think, or same management company at the time, and he, he just reached out, I think, and sort of been in similar worlds for a while. Like, I've always really loved his work, and I think his progression as an artist is like amazing, and that's like my favorite thing to see, is like see people develop over time. Because I think when I first heard his work, and we played a bunch of shows together, he was doing fairly straightforward EDM. It was good, but it wasn't like, there was nothing at least obviously unique about it. And then like, I think once as he developed, he clearly has been doing his own thing, and I love that. I think that's really cool. I'm into artists that like kind of follow their own path and do their own thing, So obviously when the remix came out, I was like stoked, because like that album was, I think, like a kind of a turning point for him. So I was happy to be a part of that, Timothy, nice. Glad you're using the calendar. So guys, I think I'm actually going to wrap it up, because I have a couple other things I need to do today. But thanks for tuning in. If I should make this more of a consistent thing, or I kind of just like stream whenever I feel like it. And I think I'm gonna do more streams with just like one piece of equipment and just see what happens, So yeah, let me know what you think. Thanks, Timothy. Glad you guys like it. Thanks. In regards to Twitch, I actually did a stream with Amazon the other day. We had it was wild actually, because we had like 12K concurrent viewers, which was just like wild for a second there. But that wasn't on my own channel. So like, I have my own channel. It's pretty small. I don't really have many followers on Twitch. That's part of the reason why I haven't really done it. And since I have more of a following here on YouTube, that's why I'm doing it here. But I'm thinking about like kind of doing more music stuff here, and then doing a little bit of gaming stuff on Twitch, because it seems more geared towards that. But I'll make sure to let you guys know. Cool, guys. Well, thank you.